To order. Mike, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we will begin this meeting, as always, with voting to approve minutes of previous meetings, starting with the minutes of the 12 March 2012 non-public work session.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved by Dick, seconded by Ray. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain?
I'll abstain because I was not at any of those meetings.
All right, those minutes are approved. Moving on to the minutes of the March 12, 2012 Select Board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Again, it's been moved by Dick, seconded by Ray. All those in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
And one abstention. Moving on now to the March 12, 2012 non-public meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Dick, seconded by Ray. All those in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
And one abstention. Those minutes are approved. Next, we have the minutes of March 26, 2012 work session.
I'll move that we approve those.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Ray and seconded by Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
One abstention. Those minutes are approved. And finally, the March 26, 2012 Select Board meeting.
I move we approve those minutes.
I'll second that motion again.
It's been moved by Ray, seconded by Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll abstain.
It's been approved with one abstention. Moving on to announcements, the Select Board will meet on the following dates. Regular meetings at 6 p.m. on April 23, 2012, with a public hearing at 6:30 p.m. for the Community Development Block Grant, and on May 14, 2012, at 6 p.m. Work review sessions prior to the regular meeting will start at 5 p.m., and all of these meetings will be at the Town Hall unless otherwise posted. Weather observations for the month of March are available in the Town Hall, and citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board agenda should notify the Town Hall before 12 p.m. on the Friday before the scheduled meeting. First on our agenda as far as action, we have appointments, including a letter from Patrice Carr regarding reappointment to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. And Patrice has been a member of the Zoning Board for the past year and has requested reappointment.
Madam Chair, I'll recommend that we reappoint Patrice Carr for a 3-year term to the Zoning Board.
I'll second it.
All right, it has been moved by Ray, seconded by Mike. Is there any discussion concerning this appointment? There being none, all those in favor of Patrice's reappointment? Aye. Opposed? Patrice's reappointment is approved. Next, we have a letter from Bush Cushing requesting appointment to serve on the Zoning Board. Butch has previously served on the Select Board and certainly is aware of the functions of the Zoning Board.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint or appoint, I guess, Butch Cushing to a term on the zoning board.
I'll second that motion.
All right, it's been moved by Mike, seconded by Ray. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Which is approved for appointment to the Zoning Board. Next, we have a letter from Rhonda Bishop requesting reappointment to her position on the Planning Board. Rhonda is a long-term member of the Planning Board.
Madam Chairman, having worked past with Rhonda, I make the motion that we reappoint her for a 3-year term to the Planning Board.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Ray, seconded by Dick. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor of Rhonda's reappointment? Aye. Opposed? Rhonda is reappointed. And finally, we have a letter from Paul Wilson requesting reappointment also to the Planning Board, and Paul is also a long-standing member of that board.
I'll make a motion to reappoint Mr. Wilson.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Mike and seconded by Dick. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Paul Wilson is reappointed to the Planning Board.
Again, that's for a 3-year term?
3-year term.
3-year term.
Moving on, as visitors tonight, we have a number of students from Plymouth Regional High School who are here as part of their civics class. Welcome, and thank you for being part of our audience tonight. At our last meeting, we had a representative from the PSU women's soccer team here to talk about a fundraiser that team was doing. Lacrosse team, I apologize. Fundraiser that team was doing for the Wounded Warrior program, and I'm happy to report that PSU won that lacrosse match 21-2, and apparently really achieved some very good fundraising goals. So congratulations to the team, and thank you for your efforts. Next item, we have bid requests. Peter, these are road projects that were previously approved, and what we have tonight are the bids that have come in to complete those projects. The first being Texas Hill Road.
Yes. We have 2 projects on Texas Hill Road. One is actually north and one is south. And most of this money is with a FEMA grant. We've been pursuing a lot of FEMA money to get some mitigation for the continuation for the problem areas that continue to deteriorate. We went out to bid, and on the end of March, I believe it was March 28th, the bids came back, and the low bid was from Mike Tulip. He's a local contractor from Ashland. His bids were $100,934 for the Texas Hill project, and for paving of Morse Road was $124,680 for a total bid of $225,614. And I'm here tonight to ask the board to accept Mr. LaTulip's bid. The bid tabulations are on the second page. If you look across the top of the page from left to right are the contractors. There were 7 of them. And then if you go under that particular contractor and look down, you'll see that their pricing of each contractor. And again, Mike Tulip is a reputable local contractor.
A motion to approve LaTulip Construction's bid in the amount of $100,934 for Texas Hill Road.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved by Mike and seconded by Ray. Is there any discussion or any questions for Peter?
Just to make a notation for the record, I think it's important that our town engineer, KV Partners, also was in alignment with what Peter is recommending here tonight.
Yes. There are no further questions. All those in favor of the motion to approve? Aye. Opposed? Texas Hill Road, LaTulip Construction is approved.
And there was also an additional bid request of $124,680 for the upgrade of Morse Road, which included gravel. And Mike Tulip also was the low bid on that.
And this one was also recommended by our town engineer.
That is correct.
I'd make the motion to award the Morris Road project to Mr. Tulip as well.
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Mike, seconded by Dick. Is there any further discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The Tulip Construction is approved for both of those bids. Thank
you.
you, Peter. And for the students here, the reference to FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Agency that has been helping us with paying for some of the road work that we've had done in the town.
Also,
Thank you.
just like to offer a general comment, Peter. It was encouraging to me to see the number of proposals that were received. It's nice to see 6 and 7 proposals. It definitely lets you feel comfortable that you're getting good input. So it's nice to see that.
I'd like to thank you for continuing to pursue the school in life.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay, moving on to committee reports. I will start with, I attended the Campus Community Council meeting, even though Charlie Berman is now the rep to that, but he's in Florida, so I attended. Spring Fling is going to be held May 4 and 5. That's a Friday and Saturday, and detailed information concerning Spring Fling will be published in the Record Enterprise, and it will also be aired on PBCam on Channel 3. So if people are interested in learning more, they can find it there. And do you have anything else to add to that, Tim?
And if they can't find it, they're welcome to call my office, 535-2206.
Thank you, Tim. Ray, did you have anything?
No, I was not able to attend any of the meetings. The school board held a meeting at the same time as our last select board meeting, and we don't have a meeting of the transition between myself and Dick on the Plymouth Chamber of Commerce until this Friday.
Mike?
I went to the Plymouth Energy Commission meeting, the last one, which was about a week ago. We talked about a few things. One was the status of the street lighting project that we've talked about at this meeting before. And I think what's going to happen there is that the Energy Commission is going to design a questionnaire to go to some people in a particular area of town to determine what their feelings are about possibly shutting off some of the street lights. Nothing's going to happen until we get that sort of feedback, but I think that's going to be the first step there. We discussed the energy audits of the town buildings to some extent, and also talked about just what the status of the Better Buildings project is, which has actually been pretty successful in Plymouth and is now moving into some commercial projects, I think.
The Conservation Commission met a couple of Thursdays ago. They are continuing to look at the options for a conservation easement on some property out on Texas Hill Road, Old Hebron Road. And the issue of what would the obligations and responsibilities be for the town on doing the hang on that, and they're looking at some of the options and trying to figure out how those pieces would fit together. The planning board met last Thursday and starting to get going on the update to the master plan, and we sort of set up some committees on that, and there'll be a kind of a couple different committee meetings taking place after the next planning board meeting on the whatever that one Thursday from now. So.
Okay. Thank you. Under new business, one thing that isn't on the agenda that I would like to at least initiate discussion on tonight at our town meeting, the petitioned warrant article asking for approval of the RightsBased Ordinance passed quite overwhelmingly by the voters present at town meeting. And at that meeting, the town's attorney, John Radigan, did say that it would not be legal for the select board to enact such an ordinance, but that by voting to approve it, it sends a very strong message to the powers that be that the people in Plymouth oppose the Northern Pass project. And what I'd like to talk about is what we might do as far as communicating that to the governor's office, and whether there's anyone else that we might want to include in correspondence saying that the voters of Plymouth have said that they are not in favor of this.
How about our legislators? Could we copy them on a letter to the governor maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm sure that the two, Mary and Suzanne, are both aware of that vote probably.
Yes.
And of course, our state senator we could include on that. I don't know if she'd be aware because she's not, you know, right here, but that might be a way to communicate it to the legislature.
Okay. Any thoughts on it?
Just a couple. Of course, the devil's in the details with most anything. I do think that because it was passed overwhelmingly, that we have a responsibility to communicate the general sentiments of that vote to our elected officials at the state level, and I agree with Mike that not only the governor but also in the legislature. I would be interested in seeing actually how we're going to craft that language, because I am of the view that based on the legal opinions that we've received, that we can't take any action at the local level that essentially accomplishes what some wanted to see occur with that rights-based ordinance, in which there was going to be opposition that could actually come from the grassroots up at the town level to a project in the nature of the Northern Pass effort. What I am interested in seeing is how we craft that language so we can convey the sentiments that we have in the town, that we do not feel comfortable with the Northern Pass project. I just want to see the language before I get behind it. I like the concept, but would rather see the language before I commit to anything.
Are you volunteering to write the letter?
No, I was looking across at my parking lot over here.
Looking at me.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough letter to try to craft, to try to strike that delicate balance between those two items, but I don't know that I'm comfortable in being the one that initiates that. Don't feel skilled enough.
Well, I think the point of the ordinance really was that that the people of any municipality that consider an ordinance like that feel strongly that they should be able to engage in some self-determination, that they should be able to make decisions about what happens in their town, how development occurs, and should not be sort of steamrolled by either the state or the federal government or public service or some other large entity like that. I mean, I think that was kind of the sentiment there. And I think that we can probably convey that.
Yeah, the difficulty that I have with that is that we have a representative form of government. As we sit here, we represent the citizens in our town. And the governor represents us at the state level, and it's an elected official, and our good friends in the legislature are representative of us. And I think we got to be cautious, or just be mindful. Cautious is too strong a word. Need to be mindful that we don't really throwing stones at our legislative officials, but we don't want to see things crammed down our throat, and we want them to be responsive to the things that are important to us. I don't want to discount some of the things that others have already been doing on our behalf. So it's going to be tough to try to strike that balance again, if I can use that phrase a second time.
Well, I think what Attorney Radigan was trying to tell us, in essence, was that, or at least what I have concluded about that ordinance, is that it is really not enforceable by us because we have this structure of government which gives the state more authority than we have, and the federal government has more authority than the state has, and we can't just tell them, you know, we're not going to cooperate or we're not going to do this or that. And I think we all understand that pretty clearly, and I think the people who drafted or proposed that ordinance understand that pretty clearly too. And I think a lot of what was happening there was an effort to convey this sort of local frustration, I think, with the fact that, we do feel somewhat powerless. To me, that's kind of the essence of it. So a letter that I would write wouldn't criticize our state
Right.
legislators or our governor or the federal government for that matter, but just express, to me, it's a level of frustration with a system that doesn't really necessarily respond to what local people are thinking and feeling about their own.
You may have hit on something there, Mike, that perhaps one of the doorways that you may choose to consider is that the recent House bill that the governor signed into law that restricted the use of eminent domain also established as part of that same bill some committees at the legislative level that are taking a look at the existing system and asking the kinds of questions that you just alluded to.
Right.
Perhaps that's a doorway to convey our information in a way that perhaps it could be made a part of the ongoing work that's now taking place at the state, to take a look at the existing systems out of the frustration that they're hearing from the local communities.
I wonder, would it be appropriate to include, I guess this is part of the executive branch of the state government, but the Site Evaluation Committee?
Well, I think that's what is specifically part of the eminent domain bill, is how the Site Evaluation Committee goes about its job of, is it just making sure that applicants to do a project have checked all the boxes and, filled in all the blanks, but does it go deeper and look at, what do the people want, what is the impact on, communities,
Yeah.
Looking at it at a more, at more of the intangibles than just whether the application is properly done. So, that,
I was just wondering if it would be appropriate once when we're thinking about this letter that we write, if we include them. Is it the Site Evaluation Committee? Is that what it's called?
Yes, sir.
that's what it will be at the state level once it gets finished with the Department of Energy at the federal level. It hasn't even made it that far yet. It's still in the presidential permit process.
Well, why don't I try to write something and I'll circulate it and we can discuss it at our next meeting.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's appreciated. Tough chore.
Just for the record, I didn't know exactly where the conversation was going when you put the issue on the table. Just for the record, I'm abstaining from the conversation.
I understand. Thank you. All right. Do we have any public comment tonight? Being none, and we have no matters to discuss in non-public. In that case, have I a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Dick, seconded by Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.